Hello! In this video, I'm going to be taking one of my first builds, if not my first ever, from when I was 10 years old, and reimagining it as to how I'll go about creating this build from when I was 10 years old. And let's take a look at it. This build is a remake from my memory, since unfortunately the original is lost to time. I'll turn on the old Minecraft textures to truly transport us back to how it would have looked like all the way back then. Okay, now we have the old texture pack on. Yeah, the wood looks a little bit different. The glass has a lot more lines in it than it does with today's textures. This particular build brings back a lot of nostalgia from when I played Minecraft on the Xbox 360 as a kid. Now let's take a look inside the build. Yeah, the stairs take up most of the room inside the building. It's not very practical, is it? Yeah, 10 years old me clearly had different priorities than being able to make something that was practical, because I did make this in survival. Now I'll walk up to the top just to show you how long it takes just to walk all the way to the top of this thing. At the top, the only difference between this layer and all the other layers is that there's two windows. Oh boy, I was so involved in detail back then. Developing an idea to make this look interesting has been tricky. All it is just a wooden rectangle with some very poorly put in windows. But I have come up with an idea that I think will be fun. And you've probably seen it in the thumbnail, but that's okay. Anyway, to realize this idea entirely, I'll be heading into a vast cave somewhere deep in this world. We have found ourselves a cave. There is a limiting factor about this cave, and it is the amount of space that is inside of it. But I think that I can remove most of these large deep slate pillars, and then that'll free up the space, and then we can get to work on what we want to work on. So let me do that. Okay, we're back, and I have cleared out an appropriate amount of space for what we are going to be doing, and I have even placed a spot where the build I'm going to be building is going to be, which is going to be around about in the center of this place I have cleared out. And I left this pillar here on purpose, because I intend to use that later. But anyway, we're going to get started on the shape of how this is all going to look, and then I'll probably complete it from that point onward, and we'll take a very cool look as to how it'll look at the end. All of the shaping is now complete on the build. Right, so right now I'm actually trying to figure out the color in the palette, so I wanted to show you that. So let me get my wand. Aha! Here's my wand, and what I'm doing is I'm copying these. There we go. It's not exact, but it'll do what I need to do. So I wanted to show you a little bit of the process as to how I go about picking the colors I want for my build. So I've already chosen the floor, which is going to be oak wood, which is an easy choice, fortunately, because the build I'm building this off of is made entirely out of oak wood, and I feel like making the floor out of oak wood just makes sense. Yes, so when picking colors, sometimes what I'll do is that I'll get several different colors out of the creative inventory that I think that will work. So like, for example, here's spruce wood, so let's put this one down. And then I see how it looks, and maybe we can extend the platform to get a better idea. Maybe move this like over here. Then we can do the same to this one. Something like that. And then we can use a different choice. So another choice that I thought would look good is this wax exposed cut copper stairs. That's a long title. And then I sort of judge between the two, and then the one I don't like the most I'll just get rid of. Sometimes when I have a hard time picking between a lot of different types, I'll just lay them all out. So like for these supports, I'll probably lay all of these out, and then I'll just keep looking in the inventory and then try to find one that I like the best, and the one I like the best will go on the build. And that's how I do it. Yes. Then I'll apply what I think is the best onto the build. Then you'll be able to see that. So let's get to doing that. Okay, so now the platforms are completed, so we need to be able to get the colors we need for the structures that are going to go on the platform. So I want to show you a little bit of how I'm going about it, or the process. So this build is primarily going to be made out of wood because it's like a mine shaft build, so that's like the theme. And typically mine shaft builds only have wood because that makes sense logically. So let's see, let's try and pick out a combination that works. So let's see, we have spruce log, maybe spruce plank, and then what can be on the corner or edges. If we wanted to, we could really do anything, but maybe mangrove. And then for the roof, maybe we can do a little bit of, let's see, dark oak. Dark oak can look cool. And let's see, how about for the top of that, we can do perhaps like a strip dark oak on the top of that, right? So we have the wall layer that we're going to make, and then we're going to have a little bit of texture on the wall, so you have that dark to light to make it seem a little bit taller than it actually is. And then you have your structure or support pillars, or just structure in general. There you go. That looks kind of nice, right? But we do need some kind of roof for this to work, so we can make this a little bit shorter. Maybe put this over the top to kind of give an idea of the depth of the trim of the roof. And then if you wanted to, we can add full blocks on the top to be able to give a little bit of depth to the roof as well. And that's one way of doing it. So just in these few moments, I've made a suitable wall and roof. And then I did this multiple times over. And let me show you right now. Whoa, look at that. So as you can see, I designed first the walls and then the roof, and then I implemented them into the structure, and that's what you're seeing right here. And then that's not all of them. We can go on the other side, and there's a pink one and a red one as well, and I think they all look nice. They all look great. And so for the next step, after we've completed putting in our main colors for each of the structures and all of the basic shape is all finished, next we have to do the details. And right here, I already showed a little bit of detail work by having these hanging signs on the main railway that is going to allow you to access everything. And I'm going to get started on the detail, and then once I have enough, I can talk a little bit more about how that works. Okay, see you then. I have finished the detailing on one of the buildings just to show you a little bit of the process that I go when doing detailing on these buildings specifically. So let me show you what I've added. So I've added a window here. Added something for the door here, just simple trap doors layered like on top of each other. Then on the roof, I added like these little signs that go across. That's like a 2 wide each, just to add a tiny bit more depth, so it's not just a flat roof going across. And then over here, I added another window, and there's different styles of windows you can do, but a very easy 1x1 window that looks really good in a small area like this is by using a gate and then opening it to make the little sides of the window. Yeah. And then putting a trapdoor underneath. And it did the same thing over here with the roof. And going down to the walls, I added these buttons to add just a tiny bit more depth to make the building just that tiny bit more interesting. And what else did I do on the walls here? I think that's it for the walls. And then on the ground, I added a lot of different things. So typically, when you're doing detailing, it's a good idea to try to add some kind of greenery, because that'll make the build pop more, and it won't look like nobody lives there. So that's another important key aspect of detailing, is making sure that you add things that make it feel like it's lived in, because that makes it feel comfy and ultimately is more interesting for the person looking at it. So for that, I found these decorative pots, and then I would put like a pot inside of it. So let me get that real fast. So put a flower pot in there, bam, and then you can put a flower in there, and then you have like a bigger flower pot, which I think is interesting. Over here, I just added barrels to kind of give the idea that this is where you get the mine carts to be able to ride onto here. And then over on the other side, oh yeah, I also added some water here, because I feel like in a mine shaft civilization, they would need some supply of water. So someone would come by and fill us up, and then that would be their water supply for the day. Then over on the other side, it's a little bit inaccessible, but that's okay. I just added a simple log and rail. So this is a very common trick that people do. So let me show you at a bigger scale here. So people will put logs on their side and then stack them on top of each other. And of course it does have some limitations, but it looks like it's just like logs being held down. And I feel like in this kind of theme, this mineshaft wood theme, it fits very well, so I wanted to add that in. This is another technique that I know about. And then the underneath, I didn't do too much. I just added some trapdoors and some fence posts to kind of give the idea of a bit more support. And for the platform here, I decided that to make it look a bit more interesting than just having planks that go around the whole edge, first I would add the trapdoors to give like a safety barrier so you can't just walk off, while giving as much space as I can in the inside. I also put these beehives. So yeah, these are beehives. So let me just show you. Yeah, beehive. Yes. And I put these around the edge to make it so it wasn't just the normal oak plank texture, because you just have the oak plank texture going around. It just doesn't look as good as the beehive, and I thought, well, that's an easy thing to do, just to add the beehives. Now, that's all the details that I added for this building, and I'm going to do the details for the rest of the buildings. But to be honest, they're all going to look really similar to this, so I'm probably just going to cut to that point. Yeah, so I'll see you then. All of the details are now complete, and this is what it looks like with the potion of night vision. So I'll give you just a brief overview. I'll go in more detail a little bit later, but let me show you everything. Just a brief kind of glide around. Okay. So that's it with the potion of night vision, and then for the full effect, we're going to remove that. And here is it without the potion of night vision. Ooh. To me, it looks far more interesting. What we're going to do is look at the build from the beginning of the video, and we're going to compare and contrast that build to this build. Just to remind you what the old build looked like, the one I made when I was 10 years old. Yes, now let's take a look at the other build. So this build, as you can see, there's a lot more going on, and in my opinion, I took the original concepts of the wood tower and made it a lot better. So, yes. Okay, so that is the end of the video, and please, if you like the video, support my channel, because I'm not doing too well, and I hope that with your support, I can be able to make more content for you guys to be able to watch and enjoy. But without your support, that simply is not possible, and that's why I am saying this at this time. So thank you for everything you can do, and thank you for watching this video, and I'll catch you next time.